Spain's defense minister says no letter bomb or other violent action will deter her country from helping Ukraine. Margarita Robles was speaking as a sixth letter bomb was discovered in Spain, intercepted at the U.S. Embassy in Madrid. On Wednesday, a letter addressed to Ukraine's ambassador to Spain combusted, injuring an embassy employee. Other suspect letters include one intercepted at a factory supplying arms to Ukraine and another addressed to Spain's prime minister.
Victims of the war in Ukraine. A senior official in Kyiv says up to 13,000 Ukrainian soldiers have been killed since February's Russian invasion. Up to 13,000 Ukrainian soldiers have been killed since the start of Russia's invasion.
The figure came from an advisor to Ukraine's President Zelensky, but hasn't been confirmed by the country's military. The Russian death toll is thought to be at least 9,000 and could well be double that figure. Vincent McAviney has more.
In newly liberated Kherson, Ukrainian servicemen patrol near apartment blocks badly damaged by Russian shelling. The residents, who spent much of this year under Russian occupation, are thankful to see their countrymen. But the scale of the sacrifice made to repel the Russian invaders hasn't been made clear. Updates on casualty figures are rare. In June, a senior Ukrainian official, Mikhailo Podolyak, who advises President Zelensky, said between 100 and 200 Ukrainian soldiers were dying daily. Now he says between 10,000 and 13,000 Ukrainian troops have died in the conflict. These figures have not been confirmed by the country's military. He also suggested 100,000 Russian soldiers had been killed, with up to a further 150,000 wounded or missing. However, last month, the most senior US general, Mark Milley, said around 100,000 Russian and 100,000 Ukrainian soldiers had been killed or injured since the start of the war. It may take many years for the true death tolls on both sides to come to light, but in a sign of how depleted Russia's armory is, these fragments of Soviet-made X-55 cruise missiles, designed for nuclear use but stripped of their warheads, were found in Ukraine's two western regions. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., President Biden is currently hosting President Macron on a state visit. Both leaders made it clear they were unwavering in their support for the Ukrainians' fight.
President Macron and I have resolved that we're going to continue working together to hold Russia accountable for their actions and to mitigate the global impacts of Putin's war on the rest of the world.
Let me tell you that we will never urge the Ukrainians to make a compromise which will not be acceptable for them. We have to respect the Ukrainians to decide the moment and the conditions in which they will negotiate about their territory and their future.
Thousands of miles away on the front lines of this conflict, many Ukrainians will just be hoping whatever the scale of their countrymen's sacrifice truly is, it's enough for this war to be over soon. Vincent McAviney, BBC News.
Let's speak now to Jessica Parker, who's in Kyiv for us now. Very good morning to you, Jessica. So these latest numbers from Kyiv in relation to Ukrainian losses, just give us a sense of A, how plausible they are, whether we can accept them as they stand, and how that works in relation to other numbers that we've heard before.
Yeah, well, you'll notice that the numbers are pretty different when you look at this up to 13,000 figure given overnight by a senior Ukrainian official versus what US officials said last month, which was around 100,000 on both sides had been either killed or injured. The numbers come after Ursula von der Leyen, the European Commission president, erroneously said yesterday that 100,000 Ukrainian troops had been killed. She was referring to that US figure of killed or injured. So I think we have to treat these figures, you have to look at them and see that there is some variation there, and we don't know for sure these numbers at the moment. As we were just hearing in that report, it's very rare to hear these types of figures as well. But it's interesting as well, I think in the wider context, of course, it gives you some idea of the losses that are being suffered here as this war heads into winter. And it's not just, of course, about what's happening on the front line, as we were hearing in that report. It's what's happening in cities like Kyiv as well, because, of course, Russia has been targeting Ukraine's energy infrastructure in what is an attempt to try and break the will, many think, of Ukrainians heading into the difficult months of winter as temperatures begin to plummet.